Support for Radio Friends comes from IT Como, offering computer and IT services for small businesses and residential clients. IT Como can set up remote work-at-home solutions and data security and backup systems and upgrade your company email to more modern platforms. IT Como can also help you get the most from your technology at home. Learn more at itcomo.com. Good morning and welcome to Radio Friends on Friday, January the 27th. Pleasure to have you with us today. I've got Dr. Philip Batson and Dr. Elizabeth Abe with us from Columbia Healthy Smiles. A pleasure to have both of you here.
Thank you.
And we thought today we would talk a little bit about things that people can do at home if they have a dental emergency when the dentist office is not open. And that happens from time to time. So if I just go down the list, can you answer some questions for me?
Absolutely.
Okay, let's say you wake up one morning and it's a Sunday morning or Friday night and you've got a terrible toothache and you can't get a dentist appointment until Monday morning. What do you do? Besides scream and holler a lot.
Yeah. Well, if you have an office home, give them a call. Sometimes they do have emergency numbers that can either be called or texted, and sometimes those messages can get relayed to the dentist during those off times. And if that's the case, you might be able to get in contact with your dentist about some options, because if it's a possible infection, an antibiotic might get called in just to try to begin to calm a possible infection once they discuss things with you. But just for immediate pain relief, the best things are ibuprofen and Tylenol.
Okay, just take it physically.
Yep.
What about taking aspirin and putting it on the tooth? Does that do anything?
That doesn't do anything. You're actually going to give yourself a chemical burn on your gums if you do that, and that would probably create some more pain for you.
Okay, so ibuprofen
and Tylenol.
Tylenol.
Yep.
There's nothing that you can do as far as gargling or putting in your mouth that's going to help relieve that pain.
Depending on what is happening with the tooth and the type of pain, sometimes cold helps it feel better, sometimes hot helps it feel better. It really depends on what's happening with the tooth and the type of potential issue going on. So if you do get some relief from hot or cold, you can combine that with the ibuprofen and Tylenol.
Okay, so that's what you do. Hopefully you don't have a toothache. What happens, Elizabeth, I'll ask you this. What happens if you lose a filling? You're chewing in all at once, boop, it pops out, and you've got a big hole in your tooth. What happens there?
Well, let your dentist know, because it probably needs to be replaced, or if the tooth is broken, maybe a crown. In the immediacy, if it's a sharp edge or you can't get in right away, sometimes some stores will have like a temporary filling material that you can place there to just get you by until you see your dentist.
You can go to the drugstore and buy a temporary filling material?
Yes.
Well, where do you find this?
In the dental aisle, typically.
And it'll be labeled? I've never seen that.
Yes.
So if you have a filling come out and you can't get to the dentist right away, go to the drugstore and look for temporary filling, and what do? Squirt it in there?
It's like a paste, and you can just put it in right there. Because sometimes, if there's a really sharp edge and say it's a Friday night and you just need to get by, then you can do that and it maybe give you some comfort, but it's not a permanent solution.
Right. So you put it in and then it dries, and then can you eat on it like normal?
I still wouldn't eat on it. It's just to give you some comfort, and so that you're not packing more food into it, and you're just kind of keeping that hole covered.
Okay, so if you have a filling that falls out, you can go to the drugstore and buy some temporary filling, put it in yourself, and then go to the dentist.
Yes.
Okay, I didn't realize that. Now, here's another scenario. Let's say you're out jogging, and you're running, and you're thinking about wonderful things that are happening, and you slip and fall on a root that you didn't see there. You fall flat on your face, and you knock a tooth out. And that does happen from time to time.
Yep.
You get up and, oh my, you're holding your tooth in your hand. What do you do?
So if it's a fully tooth that's fully come out of the mouth. So it's not just like a fractured tooth and you still have part of the
So
root
you
in
got-
your
you
mouth.
got the root
If you've got the
area.
whole thing, if you're seeing the whole thing, try not to pick it up by the root of the tooth. Pick it up by what we call the crown, or the part you see above the gum line. You just don't want to contaminate the root more than it already is. You can gently brush it off any dirt. And if you're out in nature or just not anywhere near it, just put it back in your mouth. You don't necessarily have to put it back in the socket of where the tooth fell out, but put it in your mouth for storage, because your body, your saliva, has the enzymes, the chemicals that will nourish the tooth in this tight situation. If you're at home or something and you can grab a glass of milk, you can put it in a glass of milk.
Put it in a glass of milk?
But don't rinse it with water, and don't put it in a glass of water.
Okay, so what if it falls out of your mouth and it falls on the dirt and it's all full of soil?
You can just gently brush that off as gently as possible, and then you'll probably just have a little bit of dirt in your mouth in the pinch, because if it does give you an opportunity to save the tooth, it's probably worth having.
Could you
a little
rinse
bit
it
of
off
dirt.
with milk? You said
You
put
could
it-
rinse it with milk and then put it in your mouth, or keep it soaked in the milk.
Okay, why milk but not water?
So water pulls out there's osmotic differences between the tooth root and the water, and it will pull things out from the tooth that help keep it for potentially saving you. Whereas the milk will nourish it because it has calcium, because there's calcium in the milk and other ions.
So either put it in a glass of milk and then put it back in your mouth. Try to hold it in there.
Try to hold it in the socket, or just put it in your cheek, and just keep your teeth together so you don't swallow it, and let it sit in your mouth.
This is giving me an upset stomach. Okay. But it's good to know that. It is good to know that.
And then do try to get in with your dentist as soon as possible.
Right.
They might be able to re-implant it and stabilize it. But again, that kind of depends on how soon it
So
can
you
be
might
done.
be able to have that
You
tooth
might
grow
be able
right
to save
back
it.
in.
You might be able to save it.
Okay. Probably got time for one more question. What happens if a crown falls off? What do you do there?
If you can get it back on, then I would put it back on. You can also use that temporary filling material to kind of secure it a little bit more, or you can use toothpaste to just have that suction to keep that tooth on.
What about using super glue?
I would not.
Don't use super glue?
No, just call your dentist and then have them put it back
But
on.
if the crown
Yeah.
comes off,
Yeah.
or cap comes off, just try to put it back on there.
Yeah.
And if you have some of that filling material, or go to the store and get that filling material, and you can use that as a
Yes.
adhesive.
Yes. And of course, if it doesn't go back on, then leave it off. You don't want to aspirate the tooth.
Okay, I had a whole bunch more questions here, but we're out of time. I want to thank you so much for coming by and sharing. That was
Thank you.
interesting, good information, too. Hopefully nobody needs that information, but it's there. If you have any questions, you can give them a call at Columbia Healthy Smiles. Your phone number is?
573-875-7071.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Philip Batson and Dr. Elizabeth Abe. Aloha.
you.
Okay. If there's something you would like to hear or see, I would love to hear from you. Just drop me an email. That's pepperp@missouri.edu. And when you go out and about, smile and show your healthy teeth. Bye-bye.